The chamber of the Galactic Concord was designed to humble. Its ceiling rose beyond sight, layered with drifting sigils of ancient law, each one older than human civilization itself. Light bent unnaturally, filtered through crystalline membranes that softened nothing. Every sound echoed twice, once for those present, once for history. Commander Elias Cade stood at the center of the circular floor, hands clasped behind his back, posture relaxed to the point of insult. He wore no ceremonial armor, no diplomatic regalia. Just a dark uniform, unadorned, practical. Human. Around him, the representatives of 47 species observed in silence. Some perched. Some floated. Some radiated faint electromagnetic fields that tickled the skin. None spoke. At the highest tier, the Arbiter's dais shifted. High Arbiter Zeltherin emerged from a folding lattice of light, tall and elongated, eyes opening one by one along his cranial ridge. When he spoke, the chamber adjusted itself to carry his voice. Commander Elias Cade of Earth, Zeltherin intoned. You stand before the Concord to receive judgment. Cade inclined his head. I'm listening. A ripple passed through the assembly. Humans were always too casual. The matter is not in dispute. The Arbiter continued. Your species has violated Concord norms on expansion velocity, independent military development, and artificial cognition. You have ignored corrective advisories. You have rejected oversight. We decline supervision, Cade replied evenly. There's a difference, one of the delegates hissed. Another clicked in irritation. Zeltherin raised a limb, and silence returned. The distinction is irrelevant, the Arbiter said. The Concord exists to preserve balance. Humanity disrupts it. Cade glanced around the chamber, meeting alien gazes without challenge. By existing? By accelerating, Zeltherin answered. By adapting. By refusing to slow. A projection bloomed in the air, human colonies spreading like sparks across map space, trade routes igniting, shipyards multiplying. Progress rendered as contagion. You fear growth, Cade said. We fear collapse, the Arbiter corrected. History is unkind to species that advance without restraint. Cade's jaw tightened, but his voice remained level. History is unkind to species that mistake control for wisdom. The Arbiter did not respond immediately. His eyes narrowed, calculating. The vote has already concluded. The sigils overhead shifted, rearranging into a single symbol recognized across every member world. Verdict. By unanimous decision, Zeltherin declared. Earth is hereby exiled from the Galactic Concord. All shared gates will be closed. All treaties dissolved. All trade privileges revoked. Humanity will be isolated beyond recognized space. The words struck the chamber like a gravitational pulse. Several delegates leaned forward, watching for the human reaction they had rehearsed against: rage, denial, pleading. Cade exhaled slowly. That's it? He asked. A murmur spread, uncontrolled this time. Zeltherin stiffened. This is not a negotiation. I'm aware, Cade said. He tapped a control at his wrist. A subtle tone chimed. Somewhere very far away, a clock changed state. Then we acknowledge the ruling. The Arbiter paused. You accept exile? Yes. No defiance. No threat. Just a single word. Confusion rippled outward. Sensory fields fluctuated. The Concord had prepared contingencies for resistance, not compliance. Zeltherin studied the human more closely. You understand what this entails. Earth will stand alone. Your species will lose access to interstellar infrastructure you did not build. Cade nodded. Correct. You will be removed from galactic discourse. Also correct. You may not survive. Cade allowed himself a thin smile. We're used to that possibility. Silence deepened, uncomfortable now. Commander, the Arbiter said carefully, most species beg at this stage. We finished begging centuries ago, Cade replied. When we learned it doesn't work. Zeltherin's eyes flickered. Then you leave us no choice. You never had one, Cade said, not unkindly. A final sigil flared. The chamber's light dimmed. Proceedings concluded. As Cade turned to leave, the Arbiter spoke again. History will remember this moment. Cade stopped, glanced back over his shoulder. History usually does, he said. Just not the way people expect. He walked out alone. Earth received the verdict in silence. No riots. No emergency broadcasts. No last-minute appeals. Just a cascade of confirmations flowing through networks already prepared. Exodus protocol moved from dormant to active. Across the planet, launch corridors opened. Orbital platforms reoriented. Shipyards that had never appeared on Concord registries powered up. Cities began to empty, not in panic, but in sequence. In a control room buried beneath what used to be Geneva, a woman watched population metrics stabilize instead of spike. They really did it, she said quietly. Her colleague nodded. They voted exactly on schedule. And him? She asked. Confirmed, he replied. Cade acknowledged and disengaged. She leaned back, eyes closing for a moment. Then it's done. Above Earth, the first arc ignited its drives, slipping free of gravity with practiced ease. It was not a warship. It carried children, archives, seeds, entire ecosystems compressed into steel and glass. More followed. From orbit, Earth looked unchanged. Blue. Whole. Peaceful. But the sky was busy. Far away, in the Concord chamber, High Arbiter Zeltharin reviewed delayed telemetry from human space. Data streams he no longer had authority to access terminated one by one. For the first time in 3 centuries, the Arbiter felt uncertainty. Exile was meant to be an ending. Instead, it felt like a beginning. The morning skies of Earth were calm, almost serene, but beneath that placid surface, humanity moved like a silent storm. The planet hummed with activity, orchestrated not by panic, but by precision. Every fleet, every convoy, every civilian transport followed a meticulously designed sequence. The Exodus Protocol, a plan conceived decades before the Concorde's vote. Commander Elias Cade stood on the bridge of the Aegis Ascendant, a flagship among countless arcs and transports. Unlike the ceremonial grandeur of the Concorde chamber, the bridge was utilitarian. Screens displayed real-time positions of departing ships, atmospheric readings, and energy flow in orbital corridors. The hum of engines was steady, rhythmic, almost meditative. Status report, Cade said, his voice calm but carrying authority. Lieutenant Mira Tanaka, barely 30 but already a veteran of interstellar logistics, spoke without hesitation. All primary launch corridors are active. Civilian arcs are on schedule. No delays in fuel distribution. Suborbital and low-orbit ships are clearing in 15-minute intervals. Cade nodded. Good. Secondary corridors? They're online. Contingency paths ready. Automated guidance systems preloaded with Concorde star map gaps. Even uncharted routes are safe for now. He allowed himself a rare moment of satisfaction. The Concorde had believed humanity vulnerable, cornered, reliant on their shared networks. In truth, Earth had never been more prepared. Across the Atlantic exodome, industrial complexes moved with silent efficiency. Robots handled heavy logistics, but humans directed the flow, engineers, pilots, educators, families, all coordinating through encrypted networks. There was no chaos, only the quiet determination of a species that understood the stakes. In a small command hub under the ruins of Old New York, Dr. Rael Anwar watched over the transfer of essential data archives. Humanity wasn't just fleeing, it was taking its knowledge, its culture, its history, with it. Every digital library, every genome, every artwork was being encoded into mobile habitats that could sustain life in the harshest conditions. Do you think they'll notice? She asked her assistant, a young man named Idris. They'll notice, he said. Eventually. But they're too slow. They always are. Dr. Anwar smiled faintly. We've always moved faster than they expect. On the orbital platforms, families boarded arcs with a mixture of awe and calm acceptance. Children pressed their faces against observation windows, watching Earth recede beneath them like a gem in shadow. The air was filled with soft hums of conversation, instructions, and sometimes laughter, not because they were unafraid, but because fear was already accounted for in the planning. One young pilot, barely 16, looked up at the commander of his transport. "Sir, are we really leaving forever?" Cade's eyes met the boy's. "Forever is a long time. But we're going where we can be free. Where no one tells us we're too fast, too adaptive, too human. That's worth leaving anything behind." The boy nodded, eyes wide but steady. "Then let's go." High above, in orbit, the Aegis Ascendant and accompanying arcs began their coordinated jump sequences. The Concorde had expected defiance, fleets mustering, weapons primed, threats sent in desperate gestures, but humans bypassed confrontation entirely. Where the galaxy anticipated struggle, it found obedient motion and silent independence. On Concorde worlds, observers reported the strange phenomenon. Earth did not resist. Earth did not plead. Earth simply disappeared from standard space with flawless timing, leaving behind only a flicker in surveillance feeds. Back aboard the Aegis Ascendant, Cade watched the final exit of the last terrestrial convoy. The planet, their cradle and fortress, shrank in the viewport. It was beautiful, fragile, and utterly irrelevant to what humanity had become. Lieutenant Tanaka approached. "All units cleared. Corridors are empty. We're beyond Concorde jurisdiction." Cade exhaled. "Good. Begin long-range recon and resource deployment. Establish the first colony nodes. Priority, sustainability, then defense." "Understood." He turned to the viewport, eyes scanning the black beyond. Every star was a possibility, every uncharted system a chance. Humanity's exile, intended as punishment, had become liberation. Meanwhile, the Concorde convened emergency sessions. Zeltharin's many eyes scanned reports streaming from human systems, noting anomalies, deviations from predicted patterns. "They comply too efficiently," one subordinate said, tentacles trembling in what passed for agitation. "They should resist. They should negotiate. They understand the situation differently," Zeltharin replied, voice low and deliberate. "Their silence is not acceptance. It is action. They are leaving us behind, by design." Another arbiter hissed. "You underestimate them." Zeltharin's eyes narrowed. "No. I understand them perfectly. And that is exactly what terrifies me." Back in the void near Earth, a young navigator named Kale studied charts of unclaimed systems. His fingers traced jump points and potential hazards. "How did they even prepare for this?" he asked aloud, awe threading through his tone. Cade, leaning over the console, responded. "They've always prepared. Humans are slow to panic, but they are fast to act. We've been planning this long before anyone voted to exile us. The Concorde merely confirmed what we already knew." Kale shook his head, still staring at the stars. "It's beautiful. Efficient," Cade corrected, though a ghost of a smile flickered. "Not beautiful. Survival rarely is." By nightfall, Earth was a distant jewel. The last orbital sensors were decommissioned. Ships dispersed into multiple vector paths, spreading humanity across systems unmonitored, uncharted, and unconquered. Families settled into rotating schedules, rotating leadership, rotating habitats, all designed to maximize efficiency and minimize exposure to potential threats. The command bridge was quiet. The hum of engines, once background noise, had become a constant companion. Cade spoke to his crew, voice soft but carrying authority. "Remember this, Exile is a tool. The Concorde believes they dictate our fate. They do not. They never have. Our future is ours to define." Lieutenant Tanaka nodded. "They'll learn soon enough." Cade looked out into the black void. Stars blinked, unblinking. Humanity was gone from the maps, gone from the authority of the Concorde, but alive, mobile, and growing. The Arbiter had thought this a punishment. Cade thought otherwise. The human race was already leaving, and the galaxy had no idea how fast it would arrive. Beyond the last traces of Concorde sensors, the human fleet moved like a living organism, each ship a cell in a larger, deliberate body. Stars stretched into streaks as jump drives flared in coordinated pulses, threading through uncharted space with precision. Humanity no longer belonged to the maps. They belonged only to themselves. Commander Elias Cade observed the operation from the Aegis Ascendant. The bridge was quieter now. Most of the civilian arcs had activated autonomous systems, leaving only essential crews aboard. He leaned against the console, watching the data streams converge into patterns the Concorde could never predict. Recon satellites report 3 unclaimed systems ahead, Lieutenant Mira Tanaka said. Her eyes flicked between displays, scanning planetary scans, energy signatures, and orbital debris. None show signs of intelligent life. Resources are abundant: water, metals, atmospheric diversity suitable for rapid terraforming. Cade nodded. Prepare survey teams. Begin infrastructure deployment. We don't wait for permission. On the Ascendant, engineers activated orbital generators for power and atmospheric modulation. Automated factories began construction of micro-colonies while biovaults descended to planetary surfaces. Every action mirrored a century of pre-planning. The Concorde had exiled humans expecting desperation. They found systematic creation. In one of the newly claimed systems, a young colonist named Leora Chen stepped onto the surface of a small moon, feeling granular soil shift beneath her boots. She inhaled the thin, modified atmosphere and smiled. This was their first step into a future unconstrained by any alien oversight. Her companion, a former diplomat named Tariq Malik, glanced at the horizon. Do you ever think they'll catch up? Leora shook her head. No. They can't. Not yet. We're already gone. And every day we spend out here, we widen the gap. Above them, drones mapped the terrain, scanned mineral deposits, and began automated construction. Humanity's exile had become a laboratory of independence. Every planet, moon, and asteroid was a test of human ingenuity, a proving ground for adaptation and innovation. Far across the galaxy, in Concorde chambers, the reaction was chaotic. Zeltharin's multiple eyes tracked the human fleet, or what remained of it after jump dispersion. Reports filled the communication channels, colonies appearing in places impossible to reach, population growth exceeding predictions, and alliances forming with fringe species previously ignored. They spread faster than containment algorithms can follow, one arbiter hissed. Every predicted path is already obsolete. Zeltharin's voice, calm but sharp, cut through the tension. Exile was meant to limit them. Yet here they are, thriving without us. We have underestimated not their speed, but their vision. A younger delegate trembled. They are evolving. Without oversight, they are surpassing our projections in decades, not centuries. The arbiter's gaze narrowed. That is precisely the danger. Humanity was never meant to be controlled. Now they are free, and freedom amplifies them. In another corner of human space, Cade convened a council of fleet commanders and scientists. Holographic displays projected colonies across multiple systems. Each node was designed for self-sufficiency, capable of producing food, energy, and defense autonomously. We are no longer a single planet, Cade said, voice steady. We are a civilization in motion. Each system strengthens the other. Each population center shares knowledge instantly, without delay. Our networks are resilient because they are decentralized. A young strategist, Lieutenant Kai Moreno, leaned forward. Sir, the fringe species we've contacted, they're eager to join. Trade, technology exchange, even defense alliances. They've been waiting for a civilization willing to act independently. Cade's eyes softened, but his expression remained measured. They will join if they share our goals, not our politics. Humanity thrives because we do not seek permission. Back on Earth, or what remained of it, telemetry confirmed that orbital platforms had completed resource transfers. The planet itself was largely evacuated, maintained only for heritage purposes, cities preserved as archives, monuments protected, ecosystems stabilized. Cade had insisted Earth remain intact, a testament to what humanity could achieve when unshackled. Aboard the Ascendant, Cade watched the horizon of a gas giant illuminated by twin suns. "They thought removing us from their maps would stop us," he said softly to Lieutenant Tanaka. "They underestimated our capacity for adaptation," she replied. Cade nodded. "Not underestimated. Misunderstood. They never realized that humans don't need guidance to survive. We only need space, opportunity, and a challenge." Meanwhile, within the fringe systems, humans encountered other species, some cautious, some curious, some opportunistic. The interactions were delicate but deliberate. Unlike the Concord, humans negotiated from a position of self-determination, offering trade, technology, and knowledge, but never subservience. One alien ambassador, a silicate-based species named KRYTH, marveled at their efficiency. "You move faster than your history allows. Your civilization adapts in ways even older species cannot anticipate." Cade responded with characteristic bluntness. "We adapt because we have to. Survival isn't a courtesy. It's a responsibility." KRYTH tilted his crystalline head, observing the human fleet spread across the system. "Then you are unstoppable?" Cade's eyes glimmered with quiet certainty. "We are already moving beyond the map. The question is not whether we are unstoppable. The question is whether anyone is ready to follow." As weeks passed, the fleet solidified into a decentralized but unified civilization. Communication networks threaded through space at near-instant speeds, linking colonies, orbital stations, and mobile habitats. Research on terraforming, propulsion, and defense accelerated exponentially. Humanity's technology evolved unimpeded, guided by pragmatism and necessity rather than galactic law. Reports finally reached Concord. Humans were no longer fleeing, they were building. Systems once empty were thriving with independent colonies. Trade routes bypassed Concord maps entirely. Fringe species integrated with human communities, and the first multi-species councils emerged in territories the Concord could not claim. Zeltharin's many eyes reflected a rare emotion, unease. "We created our successor," he whispered. "And we did it ourselves." For the first time, the Concord realized that exile had not been punishment, it had been liberation. Humanity was already moving beyond the map. And the galaxy, unprepared and rigid, had no idea how fast they would arrive. Years had passed since Earth's skies emptied. The planet, once a cradle of civilization, stood preserved but silent, a monument rather than a home. Orbital platforms hummed quietly, sustaining ecosystems and cities frozen in time. Humanity had left, but it had not abandoned its origins. Earth was history and heritage, a seed for memory, not a cage. Commander Elias Cade stood on the bridge of the Aegis Ascendant, now retrofitted as a mobile command nexus for a civilization in motion. Holographic displays flickered with the positions of hundreds of independent colonies, fleets, and research hubs. Each node was autonomous, yet linked through instant communication grids. Humanity had become a moving civilization, one that could not be cornered, censored, or predicted. Lieutenant Mira Tanaka approached. "Sir, the latest reports from the Andromeda Fringe are promising. Our outposts have established sustainable agriculture, energy generation, and basic defense. Trade negotiations with local species are proceeding smoothly." Cade nodded, voice low but steady. "Good. Every system must be a self-sufficient proof of what we've become. Not colonies to defend, but civilizations to inspire." In one newly charted system, Ambassador Liara Chen spoke with representatives from several fringe species. The meeting was held aboard a neutral station orbiting a rocky world. Crystalline forms, gas-based entities, and silicon-based intelligences listened intently as humans outlined terms for trade, knowledge exchange, and mutual defense. "We are not seeking dominance," Chen explained. "Nor are we asking for oversight. Humanity thrives by choice. We invite you to share that space, not rule it." A crystalline delegate tilted its head. "Your audacity is unusual. Most species bow or negotiate endlessly before achieving independence." Chen's eyes glinted. "We don't wait to be told. We leave before the cage is closed. That's why we're here. Meanwhile, in the distant chambers of the Galactic Concord, High Arbiter Zeltharin reviewed the latest data feeds. Human expansion was no longer a concern of containment. It was a reality the Concord could neither suppress nor fully comprehend. Trade networks bypassed established gates. Colonies appeared where none had been mapped. Technologies once shared sparingly were being adapted faster than any Concord simulation could predict. They are beyond our maps, a junior arbiter whispered. They're evolving independently. Zeltharin's eyes narrowed. Not beyond our maps. Beyond our authority. They were never meant to follow rules. They were meant to be managed. We exiled them, believing that isolation would diminish them. Instead, it freed them. On the bridge of the Ascendant, Cade reviewed the latest intelligence. Fringe species now coordinated with human fleets, forming integrated colonies with multi-species governance. Terraforming of previously hostile worlds was progressing faster than predicted. Humanity's technology had advanced to the point where faster-than-light travel became safer, resource-efficient, and decentralized. Lieutenant Kai Moreno spoke, pointing at the grid of colonies. Sir, the Concord envoys are transmitting a request. They want dialogue. They claim they wish to understand our systems. Cade allowed a small, almost imperceptible smile. After decades of dictating to us, they finally recognize that the question is not whether we obey, but how we proceed on our own terms. Tanaka leaned closer. Do we respond? Cade's gaze lingered on the stars, distant suns reflected in his eyes. We respond only as equals. Humanity is no longer a subject of judgment. We are a moving civilization. We define our future, and if the Concord wishes to participate, it must respect that. Meanwhile, aboard a distant colony, children, some human, some partially integrated with fringe species, played under artificial skies. They had never seen Earth, yet the concept of home persisted. Stories of Earth's oceans, mountains, and cities were passed down not as nostalgia, but as origin. Survival, adaptation, and ingenuity were the lessons embedded in every aspect of their education. An elder educator observed a group constructing a modular habitat. They don't just inherit the past, she said. They improve upon it. That is what makes them human. A young apprentice replied. Even without Earth, we are unstoppable. The educator nodded. Exactly. Back on the Ascendant, Cade addressed his officers. Humanity's exile was meant to punish us, to slow us down. Instead, it allowed us to expand, adapt, and evolve without restraint. We are everywhere now, self-sufficient, self-governing, and ready to face whatever challenges arise. Lieutenant Tanaka asked. And Earth? Earth remains our memory, Cade replied. A monument, a testament. But it is not our limit. We carry Earth in us, not under us. We are no longer a single planet, we are a civilization in motion. At the edges of map space, Concord envoys finally arrived at a human frontier station. The humans aboard greeted them with measured courtesy, displaying no fear, no subservience. Elias Cade, standing at the forefront, extended a hand, not in submission, but in acknowledgement. You wish to speak with us? You are welcome. But know this, humanity is no longer a subject of judgment. We decide our own path, and any engagement with the Concord will be on our terms. Zeltharin regarded him silently, eyes scanning the human fleet dispersed across multiple systems. For the first time, he felt the full weight of what humanity had become, disciplined, adaptable, unstoppable, and beyond control. The envoy's message was clear: exile had failed as a tool of punishment. Humanity had transformed it into freedom. And in that quiet, undeniable truth, the galaxy understood: the ones who left were never leaving in fear. They were leaving to lead, to survive, and to thrive. Earth remained behind, blue and unbroken, a silent witness to the species that had grown beyond it. But humanity, its people, its technology, its spirit, was everywhere, moving through the stars with a singular purpose: survival, independence, and the relentless drive to flourish. And the Concord, for all its power and history, could only watch.